Welcome to Season 12 of Ride Like a Local. In this first episode of Season 12, we're at the YEG Motorcycle Show where I catch up with Paul Murphy of Meticulous Moto Restorations. The man's love for Italian bikes is very obvious and his workmanship is extraordinary. I'm being joined right now by a gentleman by the name of Paul Murphy, and he is with Meticulous Moto Restorations, and this is all his own collection of things that turns Mr. Murphy's crank. So, tell us a little bit about who you are as a rider and as a resto guy.
Well, I think it would be fair to say that I'm a lifelong gearhead. I had my first motorcycle at 12, which I bought in a bunch of boxes and put it together, and then got my license on that bike, and that was back in Ireland in the 70s. And that was kind of an initiation by fire because I got really interested in things mechanical. And when I left school at 16, I started an apprenticeship as a machinist in my hometown of Dundalk, County Louth in Ireland. And the reason I wanted to be a machinist was because I wanted to make better motorcycle parts. And the rest, as I say, is history. I do get to make and design a lot of my own parts. I have a very, very deep interest in engineering and motorcycle design and technology. And with my own collection here, I've expanded my own self-taught knowledge base on motorcycles and how motorcycle systems work. And obviously I try and build the best bikes that I can. So some of the bikes that I have, if I can just look around me here, this motorcycle here is a Bimota SB4S. It's 1986, I think. That is the first Bimota that I ever bought, and that bike absolutely changed my life.
What was so...
Because the relationship between the engine performance, the chassis performance, the suspension, the braking systems, with all those systems come together, that bike was a revelation. Because prior to that, I was riding Japanese framed bikes that wiggled and wobbled and, heavy, and this was completely different. Then after that, being a Suzuki guy, I really wanted a Bimota SB2. So in 1991, I bought this bike, and I went on then to restore this bike. This bike has been across the Atlantic 3 times now at this point. Because when I went back to live in Ireland in 1998, I took the bike with me. I did the show circuit in Britain with it, and I've some of my show wins here. It's been featured in many, many magazines in Germany, in Britain, in Canada. And the highlight of this bike is that I was invited to display it in the Peterson Museum in Los Angeles in year 2000. For their Silver Shotgun exhibit. And that exhibit was to celebrate Italian design of the 1970s. This is a 1978 bike. It was designed in 1977. So on the opening night of that display, this actual bike won People's Choice Award at the Peterson Museum, and it also won Best Bike or Best bike on display, I think it was. I can't quite remember. However, it was in the Peterson Museum for 2 years. And then when I picked it up from the Peterson, I brought it down to Monterey. And it was featured in the Quail Motorcycle Gathering in 2022. And that year, it took top honors at the Quail, which was quite an achievement. I'm very, very proud of that. It's a very well-known bike worldwide in the Bimota community. I've been told by some of my peers that is the best known Bimota SB2 in the world. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I do know that it's a very special bike. It's a very special bike to me. And yeah, I'm not sure what else to say.
I'm looking at number one, tank shape, seating position, foot position. I look at the Honda Piper, which is a very rare bike.
Extremely rare.
This one here is the only one known to be in existence.
It's the only full Piper, frame and engine known to be in existence at this point. There were only 4 of those frames built,
right?
And they were built for the British Endurance Racing Championship in the early 70s.
Right.
Now, what's special about this engine, from the cylinder head gasket down, is all Honda CB750 single cam. But what Piper did, they made their own cylinder head with twin cams, 4 valves per cylinder, and the whole cam gear is gear driven. So when I got this bike, all that was on left in the head was valves in one cylinder. So I had to either make or get made camshafts, cam caps, locating dowels, valves, springs, seats, everything. A lot of the stuff I got to make myself, but the cams and the valves and stuff I had to get made elsewhere. The crankshaft I've used in this is a Russ Collins Engineering stroked crankshaft, and the engine has Russ Collins billet aluminum conrods as well. So this engine displaces almost 1,000 cc's now. I've used Kaheen CR33 carbs in this engine, and the main reason for that is because these carbs are individually mounted on these rails,
right.
And because the spacing between the cylinders, the cylinder spigots, is completely different to a Honda head,
right.
I had to be able to use carbs that I could make my own rails for throttle shaft, choke shaft, etc. Also on these carbs, I had to make the spigots that go into the rubber boots, and I had to make the spigots that bolt on to the cylinder head.
Right, okay.
There's a serious amount of machining involved in this. Also because the bolt pattern for the cylinder studs on the Piper engine, on the Piper head I should say, is completely different to the Honda engine. That meant I had to make my own studs. I had to relocate studs in the cylinder top crankcase, I should say. And again, the nuts that hold the head onto the studs, they're all recessed in the Piper head, so I had to make all my own nuts specially. The list goes on and on and on.
So when I look at this beautiful motorcycle, I look at the seating position, I look at the tank, I look at the foot position, and then I look at these beautiful Italian bikes. Mm-hmm. Very similar foot positions,
Yes,
very
yeah.
similar seating.
Yeah.
So how much did Honda take from Bimota, or was it the other way around? Where did all these beautiful lines in these motorcycles, who was the genius behind them?
You're asking some difficult questions today, and that's good. Before we go away from the Piper,
Okay.
at the time when Piper were developing these bikes, their test rider was Paul Smart. Right? Paul Smart of Ducati fame, who's also the brother-in-law of the late great Barry Sheene. Barry Sheene's sister Maggie was Paul's wife. So Paul was the test rider for Piper at the time, and I think a lot of the development work can be attributed to him.
Okay, that makes sense.
So
again, because when you look at a Ducati, right? Again, those beautiful lines. I'm a purist. I love motorcycles and cars that have beautiful lines. To me, a motorcycle or a car, they're very feminine in so many ways. And I think that's why men love them, is because of the sexy lines and the power and the torque, right? So when I look at all of these beautiful machines, I'm always inspired by who came up with those beautiful lines. You know, you think of some of the old hot rods that are out there.
Yeah, of course.
And I look at the way this tank flows. I mean, I can only imagine that you have to be a fairly good-sized man to be able to ride that bike because of where the handlebars are and the size of the tank.
It's a man's bike, that's for sure.
It's definitely a man's bike.
Yeah.
But the lines on it, beautiful.
I think they are. Now, having said that, the seat unit and the fairing are not original Piper parts, but the fuel tank is. This fairing and seat unit are from an early model Honda CB1000 endurance racer. I chose those parts because I think they're period correct for the bike, and they also suit the lines and the shape of the bike.
Yes, they do.
I
you
think
wouldn't know that that wasn't an original combination.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Well, that's what it's meant to be, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know unless you're a purist on Honda. You would not know that those pieces weren't part of that originally. They fit that well. They suit the bike that well. Join us next time for segment 2 with Paul Murphy of Meticulous Moto Restorations at the 2025 YEG Motorcycle Show.